While Krampus is a relatively new film to the eyes of the Christmas public, I will say it's still a good film to watch around the holidays. The very end of the movie is kind of iffy. I don't think it's very well done. But as a whole, in general, I think that you find a lot of enjoyment out of this movie, kind of having that thriller-esque, scary, if you want to call it that, scary Christmas movie that revolves around Krampus, who, when you're actually on the naughty list of Santa's list, he pays you a visit instead of Santa Claus. I think that's very interestingly done.
He is the shadow of Saint Nicholas.
Okay, I love Krampus. Let's start there. Krampus, for me, I love a horror movie. I love holiday horror movies, and I love Christmas horror movies best of all. So it was everything I wanted.
It's Christmas. Nothing bad's gonna happen on Christmas.
What I really liked was actually when you have a lot of the puppeteering in the film, where you have a lot of his little henchmen, I guess you will, like the little bear and like all these little different creatures. I thought were very interesting and very kind of old school in way of bringing to something to the film. Where a lot of people would do CG, they did puppeteering, which I really appreciated.
Just before we actually see Krampus, when the girl's out in the snow and you know something's coming, like once you saw him, it was like, oh wow, that looks terrible, no, I'm done. But before that, it was really scary and I loved it.
Even though I didn't really like the ending all that much, I still think it deserves a spot on this list. I maybe would have put it a little lower on the list, probably, I would say, in the high, and maybe the low 20s, but I think it's a good spot for this. As an overall whole, you will find a lot of enjoyment out of this.
As far as it being where it is on the list, I'd like to see it a little higher, but I can understand not too much higher just because it's a horror movie, it's not everyone's cup of tea. And as a movie, I mean, it wasn't the best thing in the world. I just loved it because it was a Christmas horror movie.
All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for us today for our number 19 film, Krampus. Leave your comments in the section below and tell us what you think of the film if you have seen it. Tell us where it deserves to be on or off the list. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the matter. Now, it's not available at all on any streaming service, so you would have to rent this. I did check, but I think it's worth seeing, not just for its thriller, like this kind of horror elements it adds to the film, but I think it's a very interesting take on Krampus himself and what happens when you're actually bad for Christmas time. It's a good movie to watch around the holidays. So now, here's your hint for the number 18 film. There's not a lot of really memorable quotes, I guess you say, but I will say it takes a very interesting take on the story of A Christmas Carol that has a very dark comedy element to it that stars one of the most famous character actors, I should say, of our generation. I can't give you much more than that, but just so you know, it has a very twisted take on the story of A Christmas Carol. Leave your hints on what you think it might be, and we'll see you in the next video.